Hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Wasteland. Sit down, join the party. You've entered the Wastelands for the next 45 minutes or so. We're talking Halloween Kills, Venom 2, Friday the 13th, AEW, regarding a bunch of shit. We are also going to be talking... did I say Friday the 13th? I did. And we're also hoping that Johnny can get through the show without completely destroying his studio. What is going on over there, man? As we were introing, I'm like, oh fuck, what happened to his camera?
It's just I'm trying to the weird place that the whole point of having a green screen behind you is so that's what's behind you. Mm-hmm. And with StreamYard, there's no control over the way the zoom works in StreamYard. It's weird. Like when there's 4 of us, it zooms it in properly. There's only 2 of us. There's like 8 inches more play on each side of the camera. Like,
could you not pull up a green screen background for now?
I can, but it will only hide my green. So if I switch I tend to use.
Well, that's not terrible.
Except it still blocks nothing.
But at least there's some fuzziness, and I don't know.
It's just weird, like that. It's a 4-panel. It cuts everything off except the green side. That's really like you say. There's a few inches here, a few inches there off the side that you can usually see, but it's usually not lit.
Did you just say lit?
I did say lit. Not that kind of lit.
Can't blame a guy for trying. That was one hell of a one moment here. That was one hell of a. Can you not hear me?
It just like one hell of a, and then I went full screen, and then you just kind of.
But I'm back.
Now you're back, yeah.
Gotta admit that Tim Anderson walk-off home run was gangsta as fuck.
Yes, it was. It's the whole reason we're getting a late start.
Yep. Lots to jam in and not much time to do it because this guy, after 2 fucking years, is going to start rewatching Game of Thrones tonight. We're going to start with the pilot around midnight. Maybe I'll randomly tweet out my thoughts. Brand's a dirty little pervert.
Really?
He
Brand.
deserves it.
No, I'm not. I'm not playing that game.
Oh, man. How are we all doing? Is everybody on friggin' Crispy Avenue? No? Nobody's on Crispy Avenue? But I think everybody's on Panic Avenue. Oh, no. What's going to happen with Halloween Kills? Johnny, I thought, had a really good way of putting it earlier when him and I spoke. And he said, the question is if it's going to get knocked out in terms of Halloween Kills, whether it's knocked out of the date, October the 15th, or knocked out in a box office battle. Johnny, what do you make of the news of moving Venom back to October 15th? And since we're going to focus more on like the battle, if it happens, maybe off the top, give us your thoughts on what you think is going to happen. I don't know if you heard any of the show or not, but
not really. I mean, I turned it on a few times, obviously, so I got to see Tired Tommy. But no, I mean, it's what do I make of it? It is what it is. Venom is a big pie for Sony that is already being cut in awkward ways with Marvel involved. This is just, it's a weird pie that's sliced up in weird and awkward ways that they need to make maximum money. And, there's shown that the theatrical market just isn't there. Like, not long term, not, multi-use, not, you're not making your $500 million back on anything. You're not making the money you'd make in a normal year on anything, so it's not surprising that they're pushing it back, especially with, a large portion of America on the wrong side of the swing right now.
Yeah. And whether you believe in that stuff or not, that is playing a factor into this. I mean, you literally see studios now, whether you think it's right or wrong, being like, go get, so this movie still comes out this year. Little like studios legitimately tweeting shit like this out. And it's like, whether you believe that should have anything to do with it or not, and we want to sort of stay away from that conversation on the channel, it does play a factor, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. That's something the studio takes into consideration.
Well, absolutely does, because I mean, you need long-term viability. Like, anything that's gone into theaters in so far, like in the last few months, that's been a big budget blockbuster production, has had 1 week. There's no week to success. There's no, you make 100.
2 was pretty decent, but even that's not like a blockbuster, right? So
even that still like has gotten, every new film that comes out sets the record because everything was going upwards. Now it's
I don't think
the other direction in a lot of places. You don't think what did?
Did Suicide Squad? I heard Suicide Squad did not do well, and that it underperformed.
It's hard to count those because it was also a simul launch on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. So and go to the theater or watch it on my couch. 9 times out of 10, I'm choosing watch it on my couch. If I already have it, if I already have an HBO Max subscription, I'm just gonna watch it on my couch. I'm not gonna spend, $15 more to go to a theater and then, concessions when I could just pull a Coke out of the fridge and, whatever bag of chips I got in the pantry and watch it on my couch. So that one I don't quite hold to the same value because it's, being done differently, being straight to HBO Max, whereas like Black Widow had the premier access, so you still have a viable number for online as well as, theatrical tickets.
and it plays a role. It absolutely plays a role.
A huge one. Anybody who thinks otherwise is living under a rock in a cave in the Serengeti.
The amount of irrational thinking I've seen today online and fake facts and just like people that are lost in their own little world that thinks something works a certain way just because that's the way it works in their mind. So that must be how it works for everybody. Like it's nuts. Some of the shit I've seen today, which is why normally we don't pull up graphs on shows, but we pulled up graphs on Phantom Empire Live, and I'll pull them up again real quickly here just to dispel a few things. A bunch of people are like, "Oh, well, the international box office doesn't matter for Halloween. They're not big over there anyways." And at one point in time, that was true. 37%. $96 million of the 255 was made internationally. And if you don't think that they care about that 97 or $96 million, they do. They do. So the people that are pushing that one, and like we're talking like some reputable content creators too, pushing that one, that just make me shake my head and wonder what the fuck they're thinking when they say shit like that. Halloween Kills, pardon me, Halloween 2018, 159 domestically, 96 internationally, 255 worldwide. Venom, 213 domestically, 642 internationally, 856 worldwide. And then we brought this graphic up, Johnny. In week 1, Venom had to go up against A Star Is Born, which was good competition, and it was critically acclaimed. But they got week 2 of Night School and week 2 of Smallfoot. So you only really had one, big movie to go up against, but still it had a fight. And then in Venom's second week, they got the first week of First Man, which was a highly regarded film, Ghostbusters, Goosebumps 2, and A Star Is Born. And the reason I bring these up, dude, is because everybody keeps throwing out, "Oh, well, Halloween only made $4 million less domestically than Venom." Look at Halloween's competition. Week 3 of A Star Is Born, week 3 of Venom, and week 2 of Goosebumps. There literally was not one other film that was released worldwide when Halloween, for like a full-scale release, when Halloween came out. And it kills me when people don't do research. And I've been, I've done that a time or two where I put my foot in my mouth. But they're not comparable. Let's talk about it. Let's say Universal calls the bluff, but then it turns out that it's not a bluff, and they both come out on October 15th. I already told you on Phantom Empire Live what I thought was going to happen, and I'll sum it up again after Johnny has his thoughts. But what's going to happen, man, domestically and worldwide, if it has to go up against Venom 2, because they'd be going up against Venom 2, and you would also have Venom 2 week 1, and you would have Bond No Time to Die in its second week as well, with Dune the following week and Eternals 2 weeks after that.
Crushed. It would get destroyed. It would get demolished. Like it would be lost. It would be an also ran in the great, cinematic race of that time. Now, is that a horrible thing for a film like Halloween? No. It's really, in the grand scheme of things, not, because it's still a low budget film. It's not, it's not some 100 million tent pole that they need to make every cent back 100% of the way, because it's not, because, we've been, discussing, have we gone live talking about the Netflix possibility? I'm sure we've discussed it at times. I mean, there's an entire possibility they make back the production budget on that deal alone.
Yeah.
And just push even. And then they've still got, VOD release and eventually physical media and then all of those other avenues that they're still going to turn a profit. So they can be little fish in a big pond and still survive. They're the symbiotic creatures of the ocean. The ones that the little I'm thinking like the fish that hover around the sharks and just eat the leftovers that the shark just drops. Like I can't think of the name of them, but I'm sure somebody in the comments or elsewhere.
You're talking about like Baby Shark's best friend, William. What the fuck are those things called?
I don't know, but like
Baby shark, do 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 do, baby shark. That's right. I have a baby. Sue me.
I mean, it's age appropriate that you know that. But I mean, it's going to be one of those creatures that eat the leftovers, and survive off a vulture, as it were. They're not going in and getting the carcass. They're not getting the kill, but they're just going to feed off the leftovers and survive. And that'll be fine for Halloween. Like, it's not going to be the huge, you know.
It's not making 250 million.
No, it's not.
Now, if it was no pandemic and had no other big movie going up against the opening weekend, I do think that Halloween 18 would clear the 255 if they would have got to keep an IMAX release. That's the other thing this is. That now moves them from third in line to fourth in line during this time for IMAX screens, which does affect the box office because
already at a premium.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like unless you're in like a major metropolitan market like a Los Angeles or Chicago or a New York or one of those big cities with millions of people in population, you're lucky to have more than a handful of IMAX theaters in a city in average places, and even then you've still got to travel for some of them. Like, I mean, here we've got one in Durham, and then you got to go to Toronto to get the multitudes of them. So it's like you're cutting down on that where they're not going to put Halloween in those IMAX screens where you've only got one in a 45-minute to an hour radius, because that's not going to draw the people in.
And if they do, it's going to be at like 9:00 in the morning, and
yeah,
it's going to be. That book looks familiar, huh? You don't say, Dean. You don't say. I think you and I and probably a small group of others are probably the only people that have the physical copy of that in North America. But soon, hopefully soon for everybody. Digitally, though, it's available on what was that, Johnny? Kindle?
Kindle Unlimited.
Right. So you have that. You have that. Got to go to Nashville for IMAX here. I love IMAX, man. I love it. Absolutely love it. And Johnny, made a good point earlier when him and I were talking. It'd be cool to, if they do hold the same dates, let's just throw the finances aside, because at the end of the day, we can, debate what we do, but ultimately it's not our money. It's not our property. We're just going to view it. And when we do that private screening for Halloween Kills, it'd be cool to be like, okay, now let's turn around and go right back into Venom 2 and take care of them both on one night. That would be a lot of fun, especially if you could arrange that, you just keep your private screening, right? Like one movie.
Go out, do your bathroom break, turn it over, and refill your drinks and popcorn if you so choose or whatever, and enjoy the next one. Like, yeah, that'd be great. I mean, even in a go from one to the next, assuming film times line up in such a way that you're not standing around for an hour after one, or something like that. But it's a nice possibility, but it's going to kill the box office receipts. It's going to absolutely crush it. You laid out the success of the 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. It's not going to be good. It will get demolished. It will need somebody like a Netflix to pretty much bail it out, really. And they will. They'll find it, because Netflix throws around cash like it's going out of style, and that's fine. It works. Like I said, Blumhouse and Universal, they're not going to lose money on this deal. They're not. Like, it's not going to happen that way, whereas they could very easily if they were only stuck with a theatrical release, but they're not.
Oh, it's either going PVOD or streaming service. Like, they've been in negotiations for a while over that. I know some people don't want to believe it, but it's true. If they can cut a guaranteed check with a streaming service that makes them more than chancing how many sales they're going to get on PVOD, they're going to do it. They're going to take the guaranteed money. But the other problem with this, though, and we brought this up on Phantom Empire Live, is a little actress by the name of Jamie Lee Curtis, who has a back-end deal, much in the same way she got for H18. And if you're watching, the major trades, you see what's going on with Scarlett Johansson, Emma Stone, Disney. You're going to be in a very similar position there.
I don't think so. Not to the same degree. Like, I understand the point you're making, and it is a valid point, but I think the difference here is that they still have, ends to kind of make right as it were. Like I don't know.
Do they? But do they?
I still think so. Even if
Let's just clear
purely,
this up because I've seen this in the chat. We had like 100 and there was too many people in the last stream. Halloween Ends has not filmed.
No.
They filmed nothing. I can't believe the amount of people that keep saying that this movie has already been filmed. It hasn't. You know what else it hasn't or isn't going to be? Filmed in fucking October. Jesus fucking Christ. Let me Terrence myself here for a second. Oh, speak of the fucking devil and he shall appear. Holy fuck. Is it going to be the amount of dollars for Scarlett Johansson and Emma Stone as for Jamie Lee Curtis? No, but it's still going to be a big difference on what she takes in if it doesn't do well theatrically and most of the money comes in via a streaming service deal, because she won't get that money. She'll have to go to court for it unless Universal's more stand-up than Disney. And
I think the difference is that there's a sequel. There's an already thing. Like Emma Stone and ScarJo, they had nothing. You know, ScarJo was at the end of her Marvel line. That was it. That was her swan song. You know, and Emma was Cruella. So I mean, that was a standalone film on its own. You know, Kills still has ends to follow it. You can't really go around very much on that. Like, unless, you know, obviously I haven't read the script. I know you have, you know, that big red folder there by you somewhere, and you have. So, you know, don't confirm, don't deny. Obviously, we never would on this channel anyway. But I mean, unless something happens like she dies in this film. You know, if Laurie dies in Kills, then that makes it a different story. But presuming that she doesn't, which I don't expect to happen personally, and you know, there hasn't been any inclination of that, so I, you know, assume there's still another picture for her that they can't quite go around financially, like, you know, like ScarJo's gotten, and like, you know, Emma Stone has gotten, in the sense that she still has to come back for the next one. So you just kind of make nice there. So
well, we don't know
if let's say, I'm just speaking presumably. I'm working off the assumption that Laurie Strode is featured heavily into Ends. That's my assumption, and right now that's my working assumption, because A, I haven't read the script, I haven't seen the movie, so it's just my assumption that they're not going to kill her in the second part of a trilogy. That'd be in the third part. So if she's making, let's say, 2 points on the back end, you give her 4 points for Ends. You know, you just...
Well, if they're willing to cut that deal, you know...
well, I think the other option is that she holds out and says, well, exactly. No, I'm not coming back. And then they're put in a pickle because you either kill her off screen, which would just completely tank.
Areas I can't comment on, dude. Completely unfair.
You know, so I mean, like, it just purely from that standpoint,
you're saying right now could be completely useless or completely accurate.
It absolutely could, but I mean, that's the beauty of, you know, shows like this, where we can pontificate and speculate and not know fact from fiction and just say things, you know, because we're neither confirming nor denying. And again, I'm in a different situation from you, where you've read the script, you know the plan, you know the outline, you know what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. So yes, you could very easily say, yes, she's dead, or no, she isn't.
The intriguing thing about this is Halloween Ends no longer takes place on the same night like was originally planned.
And that does throw another wrench into the plan.
Like, there are so many different things that this affects. I know some people are just like, it's no big deal. It'll be fine. Venom will move. And that's just such a naive way of looking at it, because there are so many different pieces at play here. There are so many different deals at play here. This could get extremely messy. I still think, and this is what I said on Phantom Empire Live, is if you look at September 24th, if you look at October 1st, your competition on the 1st are kids' movies. That's it. September 24th, literally nothing. Why not just be proactive and move to those dates anyways, even if Venom's going to move, because you'll have 1 week of straightaway with no other big movie playing with you. You could have 2 weeks if you go to the 24th. And don't give me the horror doesn't work in September. The It movies say otherwise. And the other thing, I don't know who pointed this out. Someone can let me know. I think it was in one of our group messengers or group chats. So it was pointed out to me that if you look at the Blumfest trailer that debuted last October, and it was like 40 something seconds long or some shit like that. If you look at that, at the end of it, it says October the 15th, 2021. By the way, if you guys want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the like button. If you're new to the channel and you're trying to talk and you can't, you got to click subscribe. And then it takes 5 minutes to leave a message. And if you want to support the channel on another level, you can send in a super chat as well. We will try to pay as much attention to the chat as we can over the next half an hour or so. Tim Matthews asks, I'm going to get back to what we were just talking about. Just got out of Don't Breathe 2. Just curious if there's any Halloween 4K news. Thanks. Tim, did you like it? Simple yay or nay, no details. Yay or nay. And this is what I can tell you on the Halloween 4K news is something has happened. I'm not sure what. I've been in contact with Show Factory this week, actually. And it sounds like any announcement that was going to come this week is going to have to wait a couple of weeks. And if you read into that, we're not saying it's going to happen. But if that moved back a couple of weeks, there's a chance that it could get delayed a couple of weeks. I don't know what the issue is. And I can't really say more than that because they've asked me not to. And but very upfront people to deal with too. As a guy that's had to go through Lucasfilm channels to get to Mark Thompson and Troy Denning.
Those were not fun hoops.
No, these ones much easier. And Daniel Ferens too. Yeah, it's super easy to talk to.
We got a yay from Tim on the
a yay?
A yay.
Yay. Cool. I haven't seen the first one. So Hank, how did you think that was gonna go for you? Not well, sir. Not well. So Johnny, is this thing gonna move, man? And if so, you know, what's your gut saying? Where's it going? Or is it going to stand still?
I don't think it's going to move. I think, you know, we've been working
I don't know if I finished my point, but the Kills trailer that just came out like 5 weeks ago only says October. There's no date attached to it anymore. And somehow everybody has missed on that, including us. So October 1st is available with no adult competition.
I don't think it's going to move, just because of how close it is to that, you know, Halloween date that, you know, that puts it right on the edge of that VOD window, right? I mean, that puts it right there, right? Like
it would be Halloween night.
It'd be Halloween night for VOD. And I think that makes a huge deal, you know, for this. Like if you can, you know, announce a big Netflix deal debuting on Netflix on Halloween night after being in theaters for 2 weeks, then, you know, you still make your money back because Netflix is going to throw cash at it in a big way because that's just what Netflix does to keep it away from, you know, Amazon. You know, and Amazon's another, you know,
Bezos.
Amazon's another, you know, wild horse. They're throwing a lot of money at a lot of things lately to get them on Prime and frequent, like, big movie releases too. Like, you know, they've thrown some big cash at some movies to get them right away as soon as that VOD window opens on Amazon Prime. So there's definitely money to be made in that window that I don't think pushing it forward really helps you that. Like, yes, okay, it takes some competition away and it might increase your bottom line a bit, but I don't think by much. You know, I think they just keep it there and just be the small fish because it's still, you know, yes, it's you know, the only adult, not the only adult, you know, upper tier film, but it's still the only horror film around that time. That's
Venom's.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing. I mean, it's an adult horror
I don't
film.
think
like, it's an adult super
same audience for both, in my opinion.
Well, yes, of course, but it's the same audience for everything else that comes. I'm saying that it's the only specific genre-specific horror film that close to Halloween. That does play a difference in some people, you know. It's also back end of drive-in season in a lot of places, which helps. You know, you can have like the horror pictures and, you know, the multi-screenings and things like that. So I still think there's more than enough money to be made keeping it where it is, that they don't need to panic. Like they don't need, like, yes, if this film goes out and has a $70 million opening week, that's fantastic and they're happy as shit. But if it goes out and has a 30 to 40 million opening week, they're still happy. Considering the environment that we're in. Like they pay accountants a buttload of money to figure out the bare minimum we need to make our money back. And anything above that is gravy as long as the studio makes their profit. And yes, it's going to be much lower than, the hundreds of millions.
Way lower than what they wanted.
Absolutely. But, I think, as you pointed out, that international market is also going to be huge.
Well, that's
because
why moving it up would be good, because that international market, Venom is pro-international. Bond is pro-international. Holy fuck, it is going to get destroyed. It is going to get annihilated. Bond's second week internationally is going to make more than what Kills first week does.
I think the difference is that, we're not going to get, political about it or anything like that. But the international market come October looks a lot nicer than the American market does right now.
We touched on this at the end of Phantom Empire Live, and you guys can, you know what we're talking about. We're not going to dive headfirst into that. That's not what this is for. But that stuff matters. Like
it's entirely possible. I don't want to say probable, but it's entirely possible that internationally could be normal come October. Because there's a lot of places that are looking with a great outlook right now. And there's other places that are looking at an awful outlook right now. But it could be, I don't want to say normal, because normal's not normal anymore, but closer to in the international market, which is still a great, I mean, what was the graphic you showed? They made what, 30% of the total?
37%.
37%. Still, that's
international doesn't matter.
That's still a huge chunk. So if they can make the 37% of 18 in 2021, they're happy because that's still a top tier release in 2021.
The movie needs to make more than 30%, 37% of what 18 did worldwide, though. Like in closing,
if that's the only thing they're getting, yes.
Even.
But that also that doesn't include whatever streaming deal they make, whatever they make in the North American market, which, hopefully, America might be bleak, but
you'll know soon if something's going to happen. Like, you're not going to find out midway through September, oh, Halloween Kills is going to move to September 24th. You're not going to find out midway through September, oh, Halloween Kills is going to move to October 1st. That's going to be after that. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next week or two. And believe me, those conversations are happening. They're not just like, oh, yeah, Venom moved to our date. Who cares?
I'm willing to bet that they've already had that discussion, internally. What if this one moves? What if that one moves? What if this, like they're looking at it. They're looking big picture because they have to, because they are small fish in a big pond.
They're literally small fish in a big pond. When you get to be the headliner and you get to be, hey, we're number one opening weekend, that stuff matters. Even if it's not the amount of money that they would have made last time, being first matters at the box office because it matters for word of mouth. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We do have other topics to get to tonight. But for me, man, my final thought on this is if they both stick, Venom beats it by a pretty steady margin domestically.
Oh, it mops the floor. It mops the floor.
Destroys it internationally. And that strategy ends up hurting Halloween Kills quite a bit. Your thoughts?
I think I think they're going to be just fine. Like, everybody, there's two schools of thought here. Either it's the sound the alarm, DEFCON 1, the world is about to end. Or there's the Venom's crap and Halloween's going to wipe the floor with Venom. Well, that's never going to happen. You're never going to make more than Venom because no.
The brand's just not as big. I know Halloween fans get it in their head that, yeah, hey, we're right there with those guys. We literally provided you the proof tonight that says it's not.
You're trash. Back off. In that scale, like, yes, you're big, but you're big in this. Like, I mean, how does I doubt you ran those numbers, but you know what it was total for the year, like where it ranked as far as the yearly total went. I don't know if you went that far into the number, but
255. You're probably looking top 15, top 20, probably.
And that's the point. Like you're not a top 10 for the year. You're not a top 5 for the year. Venom's a candidate for those categories. You're not. Get over yourself. Like you're great and your fan base loves you and that's fantastic and I love them, but you're not making that kind of money. You're not. So get over yourself, deal with it, enjoy the film and be happy you get it. But you're not going to wipe the floor with them. You're going to break even, make a small profit, and then you're going to get bailed out on the back end.
How about this one? 39th. 39th, people. 39th.
Proof's in the pudding.
You know where Venom was?
I'm gonna bet like 3rd, 4th.
7th to 39th. And Halloween had no competition. None. You want to see the movies that are going to compete against as long as you stick it in and around that date? Like, good luck. Because
the problem that we're facing is people are still treating this like, oh, it's a fall release. Fall releases don't do well. Well, I hate to tell you people, but in 2021, fall is tentpole season.
Oh, for sure. It's
this is no different than putting out a movie in May.
Hollywood Reporter literally said today, and I quote, "Oh, it's normal for Halloween season to be crowded with movies." And I literally said to Tommy on Phantom Empire Live, I was like, there has never been a fall movie season as crowded as this one ever, period, blank, nothing ever close. So the fact that they're trying to rub it off as, oh, it's always like that. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. It's damage control and not very good damage control.
In a normal fall, you get 1 Marvel movie. This fall, we're getting, 3?
It's insanity. Insanity.
You know, like it's not. This is May for theatrical release.
All right, we only got like 15 minutes and we got a bunch of other topics to get to. So let's do this. Let's start off with Friday the 13th, man. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th. I'm probably going to watch a Friday film at some point tomorrow. I don't think we've had this conversation too many times, but what's your favorite Friday film and what's your least favorite Friday film and why?
I mean,
kind of short though. Like we do have 15 minutes.
But I think we have talked about it because we ranked them at one point, I think.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, here it is in 10 seconds and move on.
I'd say my favorite is 5.
Cheers, Jason. Roy, Jason. The one that's not actually Jason.
Yeah. Just because it's cool. I love it. My least favorites? Oh boy. I'm not gonna say Jason X because that's a cop out. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh
no, Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, Jason Goes to Hell is the worst. I'd take Freddy versus Jason and Jason X over Jason Goes to Hell. Oh my god.
The cover was great. Like I like the cover art for Jason Goes to Hell, but yeah, no. I mean, really, the answer is Jason X because that's just hot garbage, but it's special hot garbage.
My favorite Friday the 13th is 4. My least favorite is the rest of them. Terrence. Toronto Freddy says Jason Goes to Hell is a crap fest. That is accurate. Accurate, sir. I really still think my favorite is the remake. The remake.
You're not alone. Alex says the same thing in the chat.
And probably number 2. The remake and then 2. Sackhead Jason. And my least favorite is definitely Jason Goes to Hell. So yeah. What's everybody's favorite Friday the 13th film? Let's comment in the chat right now. Let's see what one comes up the most. My bet is part 2. I think 2 is going to win a lot of fans over here, but we'll see. Let's see it in the chat. 42 you mother knuckers in here. Don't forget to click the like button. That's the thumbs up icon. And comment in the chat what your favorite Friday film is.
Seeing some remakes, some a new beginning, some final chapter.
A new beginning. My franchise is better than Jason's franchise. Oh, you really are committed to the bit, aren't you? You're probably sitting there in your under ruse with a Michael mask on as you do this. Just to, I gotta give you props, whoever you are, wherever you're from. Good job. Good job staying.
Live the gimmick. Live the gimmick.
The final chapter for Byron, 4 for Alex, 2 for Joey, new beginning for Terry, part 6 for Dean. Jason goes to hell sure as shit, says Ken. Part 6 for Lee, part 4 for Zach, part 6 for Ken. Part 6.
Lee's seeing part 6 in theaters tomorrow.
Oh.
He didn't say that's his favorite. Yeah. But we're getting some love for part 6 there.
I think I only seen one person choose part 2. I'm surprised. There's a couple of people with the remake in there, so it's good to know that I'm not alone on that island. But yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So, Johnny, I've been we're going to switch to Star Wars here for a second before moving on to actually we're going to switch to Scream, then we'll go Star Wars and end with wrestling. So, I'm going to treat this strictly as rumor because I just don't have enough background information on the person that contacted me. I just don't. But what I was told is, despite earlier talk of Scream 5, I think they're just calling it Scream. Despite there being talk early about it being less meta, the last thing I heard was that it's going to be way over the top meta. And it really had me thinking, are we going to get the French Mistake, but with Scream? Well, not exactly like the French Mistake, of course, but like when we see Sydney, it's not actually Sydney. It's oh my God, why can't I think of the actress's name?
Nev Campbell.
Nev Campbell. And maybe she's getting ready to shoot, stab or whatever, or scream even. I guess it would be probably Scream. And like, they actually start to kill the real people and do something different. Again, strictly rumor. I'm actually okay if they go that route, as long as they're going to, like, if you're going to go that route and you're involving real people, then you better fully buy into it because you can't halfway it. Johnny, your thoughts on them going extremely meta if it happens, and if it does happen, what would you do with an extremely meta Scream?
I don't know. I mean, can it work? Yes. I mean, Freddie in the chat points out, A New Nightmare was literally that in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So it has been done, and they showed that it can work. I don't know. I mean, they have to go out of their way to tell us that ahead of time. Like, they can't just sort of, run through the trailers and make it seem like just your normal run-of-the-mill Scream movie. Like, they have to make it very clear that this is, a meta film. Otherwise, you're going to lose some people in the crossfire in a weird way, and I don't think that's something they want to do because their market's already kind of thin ice, just because of the fact that this is the 5th movie, and they haven't really been a threat in the box office since 2, 3.
Yeah.
So they can't just be like, yeah, new Scream movie, and then you go see it opening night, and oh, by the way, it's actually a meta film. Like, they need to make that clear in the trailers that it's a meta film, or else I don't think it's going to end well for them, because people will just chew it up. You need to present it as such from the jump, and now's the time to do that. So if they don't do that soon, I don't think they're going to at all.
Before we get to Matt, who just joined us, Solid asks, Sean, can Blumhouse terminate their agreement with Universal? No, it doesn't work that way. Universal holds the distribution rights So Blumhouse just can't be like, okay, well, we're axing the deal. And I could be wrong. I think Universal actually owns Blumhouse. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. If someone wants to check that up, but I'm pretty sure Universal owns Blumhouse or has a stake in it. I could be way off on that. We'll see. Anyways, rejoining us is Matt. Matt, well, we asked the question. You're literally only going to be on for 10 minutes here because we're running out of time. But if they go extremely meta with Scream 5 to the point where when you see Nev Campbell, it's actually Nev Campbell playing Sydney, and that's how the story unfolds. Again, that's just rumor. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Would you be all right with that? Them going that
No.
meta? No? Why is that?
No. I think they need to go back to the basics with that movie, what made it good. And I've flat out said from the beginning, when I first heard this movie and that everybody else has signed on, I was like, they need to kill Sydney off first fucking 10, 15 minutes of the movie. Give you that, whoa, holy shit.
She's the opening kill. That'd be cool.
She's the opening kill, yeah. And then go from there. They don't. I think having David Arquette and Courtney Cox back, I really think they can do more good with this kind of movie than she can.
If they go that route.
If they go that route.
Yeah,
and the rumor floating around is Matthew Lillard's back too.
And that would make sense if they're going.
That would make sense. You never saw him die.
You all of a sudden. Well, no. It would make sense if they go that route. If it's meta, where Matthew Lillard's playing Matthew Lillard, because then you can have anybody you want can be in the film.
They don't have to do it that way. They can. You never saw Matthew Lillard die, and you saw the TV get dropped on his head, but you never know.
Sure. I don't know. He's pretty toast, dude. Like literally, he probably looked like toast after that, and not the good kind of toast.
This isn't a 2020s TV that's flat screen and weighs like 5 pounds. This is a 1996 big screen television that probably weighed like 50 pounds. I don't like his odds.
Yes, I guess it would be Nev Campbell playing Sydney. We got some. Basically, it's Curb Your Enthusiasm, people. There.
Yeah.
Again, strictly rumor. No idea if there's any validity to that or not. But I'd be okay with that. I think it'd be ballsy and different, and I would sign up for it. I would.
I guess I don't have the full understanding of what a meta film is. Maybe you can elaborate.
I think he just hit it perfectly when he said it's Nev Campbell playing Sydney Prescott.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have Nev Campbell playing a fake version of herself who is playing Sydney Prescott. Have you never seen Curb?
Okay.
You got to watch Curb, man. That's right down your alley for fucking humor.
I'm a sick fucker anyway when it comes to humor, so.
I'm aware. Anyways, let's shift gears here. Talk Star Wars for a second. Johnny, I got to think to myself. We know Grand Admiral Thrawn's coming. We don't know when. Probably multiple shows. Going to have a big part. Going to be Lars Mikkelsen. Going to be teamed with Ezra. But I got thinking to myself, Thrawn was okay in Rebels. I didn't mind Thrawn in Rebels. It was decent, but you could tell it was like in an extremely watered down version of the character. And I thought to myself, well, the big thing that's different is Tim's on, right? Timothy's on. And so I hope they're very careful with this character, because you can ruin this character very easily now that he's going to be on screen. You should be basically under Tim Zahn's desk begging him for tips. Oh, that got awkward. It is definitely passed out. You know what I got thinking about, though, is whether it's the old Thrawn trilogy or the new canon Thrawn trilogy or the other Zahn books. He was so good at creating supporting characters that you had never heard of and that you actually come to like that character. And he didn't have to rely on so much Luke and so much Obi-Wan and so much Han, or bringing back Vader or the Emperor, etc. He was so good at creating his own characters to support his story that aids all the Thrawn stories, really. Whether it's is it Getchin? Gaiden? No, not Gaiden Thick. I don't know, but you got Mara Jade's a big one. Admiral Pelion is another big one.
Forget about Talon.
Talon Card is another big one. I'm thinking of the hacker that works for Talon. You meet him.
Oh, yeah.
Name. But like
the one that Han tries to hire to get,
and then in the new canon, you have the Commodore, you have Eli Vanto. They're so good at creating, or he's so good at creating supporting characters to help lift Thrawn's story that it's like, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that in the show. I'm really worried about that. Maybe your quick take on that before closing up with some wrestling.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right when you say that, you know, he is phenomenal at creating additional characters, because he truly is. You know, he basically single-handedly built the foundation that the entire EU was built upon. You know, introducing Mara Jade and creating those stories of, you know, Leia training in the Force, and all of those things were such huge elements of what would come later in the EU canon that without him, there is no EU, not as we know it. You know, like there is no Legends canon without Zahn, because he basically built it on the back of his characters, you know, his storytelling and his way of telling a story and crafting the universe. Who exactly are you talking to?
Oh, Michael Myers. I love him, man. Talk about staying in character all the time.
Okay. But
hey, are you bashing Michael? Just like that, man. Him and I are tight, just like that. We'll drop a threat on you. Don't make me do it.
I'm just saying. But
Michael, tune him up. Tune him up.
But no, I mean, I think that you definitely, there hasn't been anyone outside of Filoni who has made those, like, Filoni's great at it, you know, making those additional characters that you care about and that you get invested in. You know, he made a group of clones that we actually cared about. Clones. And I'm not talking about the Bad Batch. But, you know, there's...
Death Troopers? Is that where you're going with
that? No, I was actually talking about Rex and Fives and...
Oh, okay.
You know, the original clones that people cared about.
I got lost in the... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. But I mean, I people would assume I was referring to the Bad Batch when I say clones that people care about because they got their own season. No, I'm talking about Rex, the actual clone people cares about. You know, the one important enough to come back 30 years later.
Yep.
But it's just, nobody's really that good at it long term. Like, if you're going to bring Thrawn in, you need him involved, because he is the voice of that character. He is... You know, he is Thrawn in for all intents and purposes.
You have to have him as an executive producer. Like, you got to have him.
I mean, you don't necessarily need to go that far, I don't think. But you need his voice in the room when you're writing the stories. You know, if he's not actually doing screenplays, he needs to be involved in the creation and the production, and, you know, in on those sessions where you're establishing characters and helping you understand them and learning them, and, you know, even on set every now and again, helping Lars, sort of, in that sense of, you know, it's the authors that tell the characters things that make their performances great. Like, I know you're not a big fan of the franchise, but I'm a Harry Potter fan. One of the things that makes Alan Rickman's performance so amazing was the things that J.K. told him in production of the first film. Like, he knew things that were coming in book 7 before book 7 was even written, because they were important to understand his character and his thought processes and his relationship with Harry, which was extremely important from the get-go. She knew those things. He needed to know those things, so she told him those things. That's the same way that, you know, that relationship needs to be for this. Like, does Zahn need to write this stuff? No, but he needs to be heavily involved in writing this stuff so that the things Thrawn does are things that Thrawn would actually do. That's where you lose people. Because when book Thrawn acts differently than movie Thrawn, things start getting chaotic and confusing.
We've already had that. We've already had book Thrawn act different than cartoon Thrawn. They just have. One was severely dummied down. Cool to see. Cool. That's my boy Thrawn, but severely dummied down. I think Johnny hit the nail on the head. I think he's spot on in regards to that. Byron asks Sean, where does A New Hope rank in your favorite Star Wars films? For me, it's 4. Yeah, it's number 4 for me. Matt, what about you? Off the top of your head, 4? So it's number 4 for all of us. How about that? How about that? And then there was what's a better film, Return of the Jedi or A New Hope? I don't even think it's close. I think A New Hope is so far superior to Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi, there's only 4 canon episodic films worse than it, I think.
Yeah, it's down there on my list too.
Yeah, 4 episodic numbered that are worse than that one. So yeah, it's bottom tier.
Happy with you, man. I told you, he's not happy. Not fucking happy.
I got no beef with you, Mike.
I don't know. He's not happy. All right, let's do it. Let's talk AEW, and I'm going to ask Johnny to approach it from a different standpoint.
You mean besides the I was right and I get to do the I was right dance?
I think you're completely wrong.
Really? Because the 5th Labor is next week, and it's MJF versus Jericho.
Oh, that? No, you were 150% right about that. Sorry, yeah, you were.
I actually watched it all the way through last night.
Yeah, no, you were spot on, man. Good call on that one. I'm referring to the Punk and Rampage thing. Tony Khan basically all but said it. Why he went that far with it was beyond me. So we know you're of the category. It's if you were in charge, you would not do it then, and your debut was all out. Correct? That's what you said on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I would bet a lot of money on it's happening at Rampage, especially after Khan's words.
Rampage is next Friday, right?
Yeah, well, it's tomorrow.
First episode is tomorrow, but
we have confirmed that it is definitely on in Canada tomorrow. Because the guy we were trying to help earlier,
the thing,
but I guess he couldn't access it on the phone or something.
Yeah, you can't see it because it doesn't show you the bonus schedule in the app, but it is listed. What I sent you was the actual bonus schedule for the TSN.
Okay,
go.
So yeah, there you have it. I know you tune into us sometimes. If you're watching right now, dude, yeah, TSN go. But if we look ahead to next Friday, if the Punk thing is happening, and you accept, that it does happen, how do you book it, knowing that if it happens next Friday? How would you do it if you were forced to do it that way? Because it goes against everything that you think they should do. So if you had your hands tied in that way, how would you do it?
I mean, still the same way, I guess. You're still booked the same way. Basically, I just think it has a bigger impact if it happens at the pay-per-view. I mean, you're still booked the same way. Except I would probably change things a little bit. Instead of having, the MJF challenge promo be post-match, it would be on Rampage itself. So instead of being an unanswered challenge followed by an answered challenge, it's just a straight answered challenge. The building blocks are still the same. MJF goes over on Wednesday night over Jericho. That's it. That's written in the cards for me. I don't think there's any way to change that. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Yes, having the fans cheer him out and sing him out without the music being playing is going to be an amazing moment. As long as the Texas crowd can pull it off well.
Oh man, I'm not going down that road.
I can say that because this one is in San Antonio, not Dallas. If it was Dallas, I'd be treading on some thin water, because if it was in Dallas, then we'd know a guy who would be in the stands. So I'm sure it would be safe in the Dallas fans' hands, but in the San Antonio fans' hands, I don't know. So as long as it gets done properly and effectively, and it should, I don't see how they kind of screw that up. That the end result is still the same. MJF goes over, and then you build the promo. It's hard. I don't see that match not being the main event on Wednesday night. So you just kind of have that on Friday night. MJF speaks for the first time after defeating Chris Jericho, and then he does the promo, and I've beaten Jericho, I've beaten everybody, I'm the best in the world, and then the music, and then Punk, and then you build to that. You obviously do not have a match at All Out because that's way too soon. That's just ridiculous. No, sir, not gonna happen. But you do something.
That All Out.
I don't think anybody. I think it's too soon for him to have a match at All Out. That means anything. You can throw him in a match.
I think the match is happening if they're doing Rampage. I think that's a foregone.
If he shows up tomorrow night,
2 weeks is not enough time.
Well, everybody's saying it's more than 2 weeks, though. Like everybody has let slip that apparently that even Jer was on this one. He's the one that sent it to me. That I don't know wrestling sites enough to fucking know this shit, but basically that Punk was training for quite some time.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying Punk's not physically ready. I'm saying 2 weeks is not enough time to build to that match.
Oh, okay.
So could Punk actually get in the ring and have a I don't want to say meaningless match, but a tune-up match? Fine. Like if they want to do that with Darby, have him say something on Wednesday, fine. I guess you could do that because Darby's not doing anything else right now except having an awesome feud with 2.0 that I love so much because I love 2.0 and been a huge fan of those two guys going on, over 10 years. I've been a fan of 2.0 going back to like 2005 was the first time I ever saw them back in. That's right. In Indian, Quebec is where I first learned of the greatness of 2.0 while following the careers of Kevin Steen and El Generico. I found the greatness that was 2.0, which led to the greatest dueling intro I have ever seen. 2.0 versus Twiggy and Pornstar Juan. Yes, his name was Pornstar Juan. Where one band came out. No, where I think 2.0 came out to Michael Jackson and Twiggy and Pornstar Juan came out to Bon Jovi, and the French crowd just sing both songs to the ring. Amazing entrance. That's probably on YouTube somewhere. That should be checked out by all.
I like what you said about the Darby thing, though. Like to me, Darby only makes sense if it's like he calls him out, sort of thing, or even Punk calls him out, or I don't know. It only makes sense for it to be like a quick one-off. Like, okay, hey, we're gonna work a program All Out really quickly, and then
I don't think it's so much a program, just I think it's MJF all the way. I think that's the program. But you do a little backstage vignette on Wednesday night where Punk bumps into Darby backstage. So you think you're the best in the world, huh? You want to prove it? Next Sunday in Chicago. Let's go. And that's it. That's your build to that match. Because that's really all you need for that. Because it is the throwaway match. It's not meant to be the program match. Then you can throw MJF on commentary and do all that and build to your next one. Whether or not you do it in November at Full Gear, I don't know. Or if you hold it off for Revolution in February, or if you really save it for Double or Nothing in May. But I don't know. But that's how I do it, I guess.
So you seriously think Punk's there tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night? No.
Tomorrow
night's in Pittsburgh. That's already done. That's already built. It's not until Chicago.
Teasing. I absolutely expect more teasing. They're all over that shit. But no,
you think he'll be there next Friday? Okay.
Next Friday they're at the United Center in Chicago. So yes.
Yeah.
If it's gonna happen, it's gonna be there. But at the same time, I think it's too much. Like I know the Tony stuff you're talking about. Where he said yesterday, I guess in the
to be clear, you are the only person I know that does not think Rampage is happening
because I think it's too obvious. I'm thinking with the old school promoter's hat. I think you build to it and don't do it because you didn't promise it. And that's the thing you have to hang your hat on. We didn't promise it. We didn't say it's going to happen on that night. You just assumed it was going to happen because it came out when it did.
What he said today, I literally heard the words out of his mouth. It's not like I just read it on the page. He's like, I think everybody knows what's happening at the United Center for Rampage. So
he said everyone knows what to expect.
Yeah.
You can expect whatever you want.
Oh, no. Come on, man. And I know that at least 90% of the fan base thinks that this thing's going to
I'm not disagreeing with that. But I think there's a time and a place.
You're misleading your fans then by saying
no.
That's what most of them think?
No.
Oh, I disagree completely. Not from a wrestling standpoint, just from a ethical standpoint. But
because you're paying it off 2 weeks later. I guarantee you that every fan who has a ticket for All Out has a ticket for next Friday night.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't have much time. I really do got to go. For most of the time, AEW cards are known well ahead of time, and All Out is still so far from being finalized.
It both is and isn't.
Like where I'm going with this is one, could you see Punk somehow involved in a tag match, and the tag match ends up highlight like not like just a 2-man tag, but like a 4 or 5-on-5 sort of deal. I don't know who that would be because I haven't been watching consistently. And then the other thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me is, are they really going to go with 2 Kenny Omega and Christian matches, or is a ball going to drop there?
I don't know. I mean, I was confused by that.
Like that before, so
I could see tomorrow kind of being like a schmoz and not actually go through to a finish. You know, like I wouldn't be surprised to see the Good Brothers get, involved and have the match kind of thrown out before it gets going. Like get started and do the lockup and do the, the first 5 minutes of it. Because that's the thing. Rampage is 1 hour. 1 hour total. And they have already announced 3 title matches. If
you're in Chicago, the fans that are there are getting like a 3-hour show, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's 100% confirmation of the way they're going to do it, but my guess, that's just purely just me, I don't think Tony's ever commented one way or the other, is that you will see going forward, the Wednesday night taping would be Dark Elevation, followed by Dynamite, and then Friday night you would have regular Dark, followed by Rampage, so that both kind of top out around that 3-hour mark.
That's cool. It's still going to be an event that fans, Oh
yeah, because I still think I'm fairly certain that it's still a 7 p.m. bell time on ticket.
Well, that wouldn't make sense because it's not live till 10 on TV, and it's supposed to.
Well, no, but 7 gives you.
Oh, right. You go in, you're set up, and then eventually the first down.
First match actually by 7 p.m. bell. I mean, show starts at 7, but it's actually not going to start until closer to 7:30.
You expect,
and then you've still got. Expect what?
Different stage setup or just same?
Not really. I mean, it's hard to say because Rampage is the first different TV show.
I know they've teased doing like a big change for next year, but that's a while away. But like if it's only a 1-hour TV show, I wouldn't think it'd be a big new set piece. It might be a slightly altered one.
Yeah, I think it'll look different, but still be the same. You might get instead of like the chandelier type thing they've got in between the two. They might do something different in that centerpiece. But it's not going to be drastically different. Like it's not going to be the difference between, Raw 99 and SmackDown 99 or Raw 2002, SmackDown 2002, which were so different. It was like night and day because, you had the giant Big Show fist.
What about you, Matt? Do you think they do 2 Kenny Omega Christian matches, or is there going to be a change of events?
You think they might let Christian get the belt?
No. Unless you mean the AEW belt, maybe, but he's not going to get the Impact belt because that doesn't make sense.
No, I know that.
Oh, you think they give Christian the AEW belt?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm saying of the 2, it's more likely that he wins the AEW belt because I don't see him going back to Impact.
Yeah.
And Byron, eventually both.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like.
Oh yeah, that's happening.
My problem with,
that could be All Out.
Johnny's a diehard. I'm not a diehard. Jer, who we've had on the channel, is a diehard. I'm not a diehard. I'm a casual fan that likes select guys who's not watched consistently in a long time. I mean, I watched when AEW first started up. I watched Dynamite like the first probably 4 months or so, and then the pandemic hits shortly after, and I just couldn't get into it without fans there, so I stopped. I still missed out on so much. I still kept in touch with like highlights and stuff, but it wasn't for me. But there's so many people that are just like, okay, Punk Omega All Out, Punk Omega All Out, and to me that'd be like, that is something you'd want to build up massively for, and not to mention,
I could see that at All Out.
Doesn't that send the wrong
2022?
message? Yeah, for sure, exactly. A year from now, that would make sense. But that would send the wrong message to your locker room. One, you like if it was right away. One, you have a ranking system, and two, he's the new. Like I get it, he's CM Punk. You know, he's going to have swagger, experience, blah blah blah. But it still sends the wrong message to a locker room who otherwise seems like they have a good thing going.
Mhm.
So I can't see them ever doing that. And you know what? I don't even know if Punk would want that.
I mean, I don't know about that because I mean, obviously, you know, there's a lot of people that you know he said he wants. You know, like he ran down that AEW roster, and it's most of the roster he wants to work with. So you know, he's going to get those matches with people, and he's still going to mix it up with the Jerichos of the world. He's still going to mix it up with, you know, the people. Eventually, like you know, there's still a lot of people there for him to work with that eventually he's going to get to go through his, you know, obviously, I don't know if you ever saw it, but when Cody Rhodes first left the WWE, he did like that list of all the people he wanted to work on the indie scene, and it was just checking them off routinely as he went, which eventually culminated in the creation of AEW. So I think Jericho kind of has the same, I think Punk kind of has that same thing where he has that list of people he wants to work with, and he's just going to work through that and get to work with everyone he wants to. And inevitably, you know, obviously right now, you know, we know that Punk's debut is imminent. We know Bryan Danielson's debut is imminent. If you honestly think those two aren't going to throw down, you're nuts, because that's a match that's, you know,
I don't know what their WrestleMania is at this point. Double or Nothing, maybe.
They don't really have one.
I was just saying,
all out, Double or Nothing. They're both kind of.
We know
equal-ish.
Cody Rhodes was talking about doing a stadium possibly next year at some point. So if they do bring in their, you know, big one for the year in front of a stadium, Punk and Bryan sell, Punk and Omega sell. That's why I never understood so many people going on about, well, you got to put them with one of those two guys at first. And
with the way they're building the company right now, if they want to do a stadium show in 2022, it's either going to be Double or Nothing or All Out. Those are the only two pay-per-views that make any sense.
I meant more so, would they create a new pay-per-view to be like their big?
They could do that.
No, because those both have brand value, right? Double or Nothing was the first AEW pay-per-view, and All Out was the pay-per-view that spawned the company.
Yeah.
You know, which was All In at the time, obviously. So same thing. I mean, All In was basically proof of concept, and then you create the company off the success of that. So either of those two would be their WrestleMania. You know, I'd argue that it's both. You know, they're both equally as important. You know, which one is the big one? Who knows? Because the company's still too new, and unlike the WWE, which had time to build up the importance of WrestleMania being the only major pay-per-view every year, it's a little different when you're jumping straight into, you know, 4, 5, 6 pay-per-views a year, where, you know, eventually you're going to build up a couple of them, and that's been Double or Nothing, and it's been All Out. So one of those two are going to be the stadium show, and I think there's a chance it's Double or Nothing in May, and I think by that time you've come back around to Omega and Adam Page. I think that's the first stadium main event, because that's the AEW main event. Like, that's the one that says AEW can draw a stadium, and we're going to do it with our guys on top. A guy we created and a guy we continued.
It also gives you all those other guys for the rest of the card too. Like, you can put
exactly
something special.
I'll tell you one thing.
That probably, if you're doing a stadium show in May, which I think they could, it's Vegas, so, you know, have it at the whatever the hell that monstrosity is in Vegas. It's always in Vegas for Double or Nothing, so continue that tradition. You have the stadium there because that's the only one that makes sense. Because All In is going to stay in Chicago, and you're not running Soldier Field in September, okay? Because, you know, the Bears kind of have a problem with that. So you're not.
It could be on an off week.
Yeah, when they're
away,
but
a week.
You know, it's still, you know. But I think it's Vegas in May. There's nothing else going on there. I think it makes sense to run that stadium then, and it's still a big international hub. That's much easier than Chicago. Like, Chicago's still a big market, but Vegas you can draw from the globe much easier than you can Chicago, in my opinion. Plus, it's already built with the stadiums and the hotels and everything. It's got the infrastructure pre-built.
I'm just waiting. I cannot wait for a CM Punk MJF promo. I mean, I'm like, giddy.
My problem is I love Punk as a heel. Like, I like Punk better as a heel than a face. And
He'll get that way.
I don't know. Like, clearly he's going to have to be face for a while, I think. I don't think there's a whole lot of heel room over there right now. But anyways, guys, sorry, Matt, were you going to say something else? Or
No, you're good.
I have to ask you guys, stupid little silly question, means nothing. But Punk's been on record for years saying he hated the tights WWE made him wear. He wanted to switch back to the UFC style short / basketball short that he's used at other places. Will he be in something similar to the WWE gear, Johnny, or will it be more in line with what he wants? Because it seems like people have more creative freedom in AEW.
Who knows? I mean, I honestly don't know, because it's hard to answer that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in, the shorts he wore pre WWE.
I know,
but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not wearing tights, or the short tights, like old school AJ Styles, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's whatever he's comfortable wearing, I guess, at the end of the day, because that's not, AEW is not going to make their bones. You have to wear tights. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Only the WWE gets off on telling you what you have to wear and all that crap, because they create their characters in a factory that makes no sense to anyone. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
Yeah, I did want to touch on the NXT stuff, but we are way out of time. Not great times in the WWE right now. I think everybody would like to see it turn around. Not that I know everything that's going on, because I don't. It just all really sounds bad. Anyways, John, we'll have to touch on it another time. Dude, where can everybody find you at, man? You got, I'm assuming you have it going on tomorrow, unless you're not doing it.
Yeah, no, we are recording the new episode of the Inside Handoff tomorrow night. We're supposed to record it last night, but unfortunately, Zach had to work a little late, and recording the podcast at 11:30, 12 o'clock was not something we were looking at doing. So we're going to record tomorrow night, so that'll be out on YouTube and Spotify before Saturday morning. And Bros Before Pros was going to do a stream tonight, but the Field of Dream games got in the way, so I'll definitely be on there hopefully this weekend. I think I've got enough packs to do another big pack opening video, so yeah.
Maddie, how about you, man?
You're
muted.
Yeah. I'm on. I couldn't talk. I'm getting tired. I'm on Facebook on Halloween pages. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Matty Phillip West.
And if you're a Halloween fan, do not forget, fuck this group.
Yes.
And go join this group.
Yes. Real quick, what did Johnny say about what's the release date? I know, because I'm figuring.
Oh, he thinks it's good.
Johnny says go back and watch the beginning of this show.
Yes. Give us the view time, Mother Canucker. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Fandom Empire. You can also check us out at TeePublic as well, Fandom Empire over there, and all that good shit. Don't forget, hit the like button, click subscribe, hit that notification bell to keep up to date with everything we got going on. On behalf of Johnny, Maddie, and the chat mods, I'm Sean. Have a good friggin' weekend, everybody. And don't forget, the Boogeyman is coming.